Uganda beat an American city 3-1 and London 3-2. The Prime Minister, ever ready to encourage sport, will this evening present the national flag to the Uganda Commonwealth Games team. They will represent our country at Perth in a month's time. Mr. Bote says, this new country of ours, which is to become independent next week, will not be able to afford to establish embassies and consulates all over the world. But in this team, whom you see standing here, we have the best ambassadors. We expect them to do well in the games, but beyond that, we trust them to be good ambassadors and to uphold the name of Uganda by their behavior and by the impression they will make on all who meet them. The Minister of Education opens an exhibition of African art at Makerere University College. The Department of Fine Art organizes the exhibition. Uganda artists have successfully exhibited in many countries, and this show demonstrates that only encouragement and opportunity are required to produce art of the highest quality. On the same afternoon, the Independence International Athletic Meeting is held at Nakivubo Stadium. It is the most memorable event the Uganda Amateur Athletic Association has ever staged. One Commonwealth record, one East African record, and no less than 16 Uganda Open records will be broken during this event. Among the countries competing are Kenya, Tanganyika, Denmark, Ghana, the United States, Germany, Pakistan, Rhodesia, India, and Ethiopia. This is Kampala, illuminated for the celebrations. Just as the flame of liberty will be lit in the hearts of all our countrymen and women, so is the whole capital illuminated with lights of all colors. Tonight, as every night during the celebrations, the nightclubs are crowded with people, happy at the thought of imminent independence. The Tower of Parliament House soars calmly above the lights of the town below. Here in the National Theatre, the Uganda Theatre Guild are presenting a review to show some of the changes that have taken place in Uganda in the past century.
There is still time for gossip in this land of bicycles, where tourists can buy the daily newspapers while they take photographs in the sunshine. The leisure of greeting and bargaining contrasts with the haste of the businessman.
Today, on a cool grey morning at 11 o'clock, a Britannia aircraft touches down at Entebbe Airport. To represent Her Majesty the Queen at the Uganda Independence celebrations comes the Duke of Kent, accompanied by his wife, the Duchess. A 21-gun salute is fired as the Duke steps out of the aircraft, followed by the Duchess. The Governor, Sir Walter Coutts, is waiting to greet the royal visitors. He shakes hands with the Duke and presents Lady Coutts, and they both greet the Duchess. The party moves on a few steps. The governor from the Park of Buganda, the Nalinya, the sister of the Kabaka, the Prime Minister, Mr. Obote, Mrs. Obote, and the Uganda Equerry. Since dawn, hundreds of people have traveled the 21 miles to the airport to give a Ugandan greeting to the visitors. His Royal Highness, accompanied by the officer commanding troops, moves to the saluting base. The guard of honor is mounted by the King's African Rifles and gives the royal salute. While the distinguished reception party and the crowds lining the airport buildings watch, the Duke inspects the guard of honor. The presentation of a bouquet makes a proud moment in the life of one small girl as the Duchess shakes hands with her and chats in front of the ever-present lenses of the press and newsreel men. Ministers and many important government officials move in line past the royal couple to be presented. Tension relaxes as the Duke and Lady Coote leave in the first open car, followed by the Duchess, waving happily beside the governor. The same afternoon at Entebbe, on Lake Victoria, the Kabaka's government organizes a canoe regatta, a celebration which dates back 200 years. Five Uganda counties compete for a silver shield which will be presented for the first time. A huge and jubilant crowd of over 20,000 people cover the grass banks which border the lake. They are singing and cheering as the teams struggle to win the coveted shield. It is a great day out for all. Several thousand of those who attend our independence celebrations in the capital converge on Kampala from long distances, and the government organizes free meals and drink for the visitors. It is an ancient tradition among we Ugandans for people to be fed at all important celebrations. On this day, there were several notable events which attracted large crowds. One, which was dear to the inhabitants of Kampala, was the civic reception at the town hall. During this ceremony, city status was conferred upon the town. Kampala's history dates back to 1890, and it attained municipal status in 1949. The Duke and the Duchess attend the ceremony with the governor. The charter granted by the Queen in Council was presented to the mayor by the Duke. He conveyed a message to her from the Queen expressing the hope that the city of Kampala would enjoy continued happiness and prosperity through the years. In return, the mayor asked the Duke to accept the highest honor that the city could offer, the first freedom of the city of Kampala. Here were presented many leading citizens as well as the mayors of Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. The crowd watches as the party moves into the town hall for the official ceremony. Outside, the newly unveiled coat of arms of the city is proudly displayed above the entrance. Within Uganda is the Kingdom of Buganda, which stands in federal relationship with the central government. The Buganda government's parliamentary building is surrounded by a cheering, drumming crowd of thousands. The kingdom is ruled over by the Kabaka Mutesa II, the 33rd Kabaka who receives the visitors. He then introduces them to his ministers. After that, he introduces them to the Speaker of the House and other officials. A guard of honor, mounted by the Buganda police, presents arms as the Duke takes the royal salute. The Duke and the Kabaka return towards the steps of Parliament. A court dancer with shield and spear performs in welcome, and the Kabaka's drums beat out a royal rhythm as the whole party enters Bulangi. The Kabaka's standard moves in the warm breeze. This important ceremony is attended by the governor, the Prime Minister of Uganda, and many notables. The Kabaka speak.
It is an unusual honor for a senior captain to welcome a junior captain, both listed under the...
Your kind welcome to me and to my wife has given us the greatest pleasure. And I would like to say at once how glad we are to be with you this morning in this historic assembly. You have made us feel at home, and we shall not easily forget the warmth and friendliness with which you have received us.
Afterwards, the Kabaka gives a luncheon for hundreds of people at his palace, Twekobe. Their royal highnesses are there, and the Duke mounts the steps to salute the crowds, to the music of drums playing traditional music. At the same time, the Prime Minister entertains 250 overseas delegates and guests to a luncheon. In his speech, Mr. Bote says, "We have no illusions as to the difficulties that confront us. We are resolved to face our difficulties with courage and reason." He goes on to say, "We shall be glad to stand beside all men of goodwill in an honest attempt to seek peace on earth." On the outskirts of Kampala is the Uganda Museum. Uganda places great importance on education. The Prime Minister comes to open a new wing and says,
"It is my great privilege, and I'm happy that I have been given this honor to declare this pavilion today open." Thank you very much.
Uganda means to use every technological weapon in its efforts to improve the country's economy. Such displays as this remind people that there have always been changes, that life itself is change, and that Uganda will change in the future. To improve our country, the people will have to adapt new ideas and new methods, and this will need intensive and liberal education. Later in the afternoon, the Kabaka entertains over 2,000 people to a garden party. His Highness strolls among the guests in the park of the palace as they enjoy themselves among the flowers. Uganda is one of the 4 kingdoms during its stewardship in Uganda. Under the leadership of our 37-year-old Prime Minister, Mr. Milton Obote, Uganda is about to attain her independence. The great day approaches. The independence celebrations will start tomorrow in Uganda. The kingdoms have various relationships with the central government according to their agreements, but they are all part of our country. They all have their share in the celebrations. 5 rulers and ceremonial heads have come to the capital to represent their people and thus give proof of the harmony that reigns in the land. Here is the Omugabe of Ankole. The borders of his country match with those of Rwanda. The Omukam of Bunyoro comes from his kingdom, which lies between Acholi, Lango, and Buganda. The Omukam of Toro has come from his kingdom in the west. His land is separated from the Congo by the snow-clad mountains of the moon. The elected ruler, the Kyabazing of Busoga, is present. In his territory is the source of the White Nile. Tonight is the night of independence, and the whole country is ready with lights and bonfires. The independence ceremony takes place before a crowd of 60,000 attending the tattoo. Acholi, a northern district of Uganda, has sent its famous dancers to perform the ceremonial bola. Their Royal Highnesses and the Governor and Lady Coos arrive in front of the royal box. They are greeted by the Kabaka and the Prime Minister. Men of the Golden Highlanders perform a traditional dance. Now it's Uganda's turn. A troupe of Baganda dancers perform the traditional Nankasa. This dance has deep significance for the people at ceremonial occasions. Just before midnight, the 4th Battalion of the King's African Rifles, a battalion with 67 years of distinguished service, becomes the 1st Battalion of the Uganda Rifles, or in other words, the new Uganda's army, which will be employed on internal security and the protection of our borders. It is a few seconds to midnight, and the crowd is tense. 68 years of British rule are ending. As the national anthem is played for the last time under British rule, the Union Jack is formally lowered. A roll of drums heralds the Uganda national anthem, and our flag is raised. Uganda is independent. 1 minute past midnight, a fabulous and colorful fireworks display commences. The Prime Minister's portrait adds a grand finale to the evening. The next morning, the special-built stadium at Kololo is again a star. The first guests are arriving, among them the ceremonial head of the Lango people. Huge crowds start to pour into the stadium to find their seats according to their invitation cards. They are assembling to see the ceremony of independence. The Kabaka and the Prime Minister wait side by side to receive the guests. Here are the Governor and Lady Coots arriving. The ceremony starts. The Registrar of the High Court reads the commission under the Royal Sign Manual and Signet, appointing the Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief in Uganda. Sir Walter Coots, now Governor-General, subscribes the oath of allegiance. The Prime Minister takes and subscribes the oath.
I, Apollo Milton Obote, do swear that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law, and that I'll support and uphold the Constitution of Uganda as by law established. So help me God.
The crowd follows all this attentively. For us, it is the confirmation of independence. The preliminaries are over, and the royal procession arrives and circles the stadium in front of the crowd. The Duke inspects the guard of honor mounted by the newly born Uganda rifles. Uganda is predominantly a Christian country, and a prayer is said by the Catholic Archbishop of Rubaga. On this historic occasion, the churches join together. In our country, freedom of belief is part of our way of life. The Anglican Archbishop approaches the microphone to read a second prayer, and the people give thanks to God. Finally, the representative of Islam reads a prayer. His Royal Highness reads an address which contains a personal message from the Queen.
It is now my solemn duty and privilege to hand to you, Mr. Prime Minister, as the representative of the peoples of Uganda, the constitutional instruments embodying the independence of Uganda. May God bless you all.
The Duke hands to the Prime Minister the constitutional instruments.
Today, we are met here not only to celebrate an end, but also to mark a beginning.
Planes of the Royal Air Force fly past in salutes to our new nation. In the afternoon, a varied and colorful carnival moves through the streets of the capital. The decorated floats represent all aspects of Uganda's life: government, industry, commerce, missionary activities, and voluntary services. The crested crane, our national emblem, is shown on many floats. This night at Lugogo's Indoor Stadium, the glittering state ball is held, attended by the Duke and Duchess as guests of honor. 850 guests dance to the music of 4 bands. Among the many people present are the Minister of Information and Broadcasting. He has seen dancing with his wife. The Duchess dances with the Kabaka of Uganda. Now the Prime Minister leads the Duchess onto the dance floor, a time of relaxation among the formalities of independence. Today is the state opening of Parliament. The Duke and Duchess arrive in the forecourt of Parliament House. They are received by the Speaker and the Governor General and watched by the distinguished guests in the courtyard. The Duke inspects the guard of honor under the eyes of the Kabaka and the Prime Minister. The party enters the building for the ceremony, which is being broadcast to the nation. The Duke bows to the assembly, and the party take their places in the chamber. This is the place where the Parliament of Uganda meets. The Speaker has risen, bowed to the Duke, and reads the letter patent empowering His Highness to open the first Parliament of independent Uganda. The Prime Minister leaves his place on the front bench, advances to the dais and hands the speech from the throne to the Duke, who proceeds to read it.
My government in Uganda is now the government of an independent sovereign state, with complete constitutional responsibility for the conduct of its affairs in every field.
At the conclusion, the Prime Minister receives the speech back from the Duke. He returns to his place and reads the reply to the Queen's speech.
It is our mission to develop the country's natural resources and build up related industries. We intend to be a free nation, but also a prosperous nation.
The finals of the football competition. Ghana with Black Stars beats Uganda in light blue shirts by 4-1. This event took place in Nakivubo Stadium before a large crowd of our football-loving people. 2 goals by Ghana's inside right within 4 minutes give strong and swift Ghana a good half-time lead. And during the second half, Uganda cannot fight back effectively. Uganda's team is not rising to the heights expected. It is sad to comment on this match, which means so much to Uganda at this time of her celebrations, and yet which she is losing. Ghana's captain, Agrafin, receives the cup of victory. At a garden party at Government House, the guests enjoy their tea in the splendid gardens. The Prime Minister moves with their highnesses through the crowd and introduces many people whose services to the country have merited this honor. After a tour of Uganda, with a rest in one of our world-renowned game parks, the Duke and Duchess return to Kampala. Today, the Duchess opens a new Mulago hospital. Built at a cost of £2.5 million, this building will centralize all medical services in one of the most up-to-date hospitals in the world.
And may this hospital prove worthy of the splendid hopes which have surrounded its beginnings. I now have great pleasure in declaring the new Mulago Hospital open.
After her opening speech, the Duchess is conducted on a tour of the building by the chief architect. She has the model of the hospital explained to her in detail. The last event of the celebrations is the unveiling by the Prime Minister of a statue commemorating independence. In his address he says, "It is noteworthy that nearly every country has erected monuments in its capital city, and I am sure that there is one good reason why they do this. These monuments, fashioned in the style of each nation, act as an interpretation and a focus of national feeling. This sense of nationality is among the most important of our occupations today in Uganda. The celebrations are over, but let us go back for a moment to October the 8th, when the Prime Minister spoke to us all and stirred us with his independence message.
At midnight tonight, Uganda shall become independent. We shall have a Uganda flag, a national anthem, and coat of arms. These will be our symbols, but independence does not begin and end with the selection and raising of a flag, the singing of a national anthem, and the display of a coat of arms. Our independence shall mean great responsibilities for all of us without exception. Collectively, we shall all be responsible to safeguard our independence and to ensure peace and stability within our country. In addition, the government in whose name I now speak offers to you a firm determination to protect your life and property and opportunities for your advancement. It is this ensuring of peace and stability and this determination for the protection of life and property, coupled with opportunities for advancement as individuals and as combinations and as a country, that I now call upon all to pass as an irrevocable resolution, marking our new status and guiding us into the future. Let us add to that resolution that we are of Uganda and Uganda is ours. Let us remember and pay our tribute to those friends from inside and outside Uganda who have helped us on our way to independence. Let us remember the best we have received and now inherit from the British administrations. I also ask all to give the missionaries, past and present, a special praise for the light they brought and do still maintain. I cannot forget our men of commerce and industry, and also our peasant farmers and the working men and women. Our ability to have a higher standard of living will depend, as in the past, on their success, security, and happiness. I pray to God to give us and our country the will to safeguard our freedom and to serve our country in peace. I pray that He may give us reason, and in reason we may seek and find, and may what I have said tonight bind us into the community of hope. We shall think and strive and toil in such patterns that work of more noble worthy may yet be done.